the show.
Hang on.
My predictions for the show were that they were going to do it similar to the comics and make Butcher become a villain, and I think that has been set in motion with this final revelation where Butcher finds out, oh, wow, that's beautiful. We're looking at Superman. Stop it. You're squirreling me.
Squirreling me. Squirrel.
Where he finds out that, because he just like, all I want is one dose of he's torturing Samir. Yeah. I just want one dose strong enough to kill Homelander. And he says, you don't understand. If we do that, it would kill everybody that has Compound V. Everybody's at risk.
Including Ryan.
Global pandemic, genocide.
Starlight, Kamiko.
And Kessler says, like, this is a silver bullet. And this is where we see the villain happen. And this whole Fight Club-esque moment where we get the revelation that, yes, Kessler was a
figment of his imagination
the whole time. And they tell you at the beginning of the episode, they said in the beginning of the episode, the revelation doesn't for Butcher happens, but you as the viewer, if you're paying attention, it happens right in the first frame because he says, wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. Kessler does and slaps Samir. But when you see it, he's standing behind Butcher, and Butcher is the one slapping him. And I'm like, that's when you and I looked at each other and was like, oh, that's it. That's we knew then, like, okay.
We already had known, and I got to say, like.
That doesn't mean the reveal isn't still great. I love the reveal.
Oh, God, yeah. But I'm still sad that your intuition about. But I'm also glad after this episode because that would have been way too much shit.
Yeah.
I mean, Huey's got to survive to be like the hero and whatnot. He can't be like on death's door also. Yeah. Especially because he just lost his dad. And Guy had a hell of a time during this episode. And wait a, I gotta say, I don't know if I could have pulled off as long as he did. Oh yeah, I'm just so much dried cum, you know.
Yeah.
He was just trying tarantula. Oh, I'm sorry. I just like to shout things out.
He was trying to figure out his.
Fart.
But the Kessler. So the Kessler reveal is huge because in my head I was like, well, how are they going to explain the drugs thing? And I said, or unless they're just going to say that he already had it, and then like, okay, that's it. That's their reveal was, he always had the drug. Like everything had been put in place, and they laid it kind of in front of you too. Like we talked about in the last episode, where he was not looking. He looked at like, what the hell? Like he had a look of like, there's no one there. What are you talking about?
And the rest of the episode until the big reveal, which again we already knew or suspected, I should say, because we didn't know per se.
But they had kind of laid it.
You called it, and everything after you called it like led me to believe that it was true.
And then they did it very heavily in the last 2 episodes.
Very, very much so. But here's the thing: it's like he was saying things that didn't necessarily need to be responded to. So that's why Samir wasn't, whatever, but it was just very clear, like, hey, this is not a real guy. Mm-hmm. He's not, nobody else sees him but Butcher. So
yeah, and it's and it was just a crazy episode in general. Like, even for the boy standards, sometimes I'm like, wow, okay, we're going this far. And to see that moment of him say where he has that reveal of like, yeah, it's been you the whole time. Mm. You could have pulled anybody from your brain, but you picked Joe Kessler, the guy that
that you
was
left
with him
to die
in the shit, and that
you left to die.
To say like, I am you in Daddy's home, and he like leaves the scene, and you're like, and then Butcher still has that look on his face like he's not quite sure what he's going to do. But that moment of like, you want to do this. And I'm like, oh, okay, fuck yeah, we're setting up what happens in the book where Butcher makes that turn into being a villain where he takes it too far. Kill them all.
Can I just, I want to reference to that final stare into the camera by Billy Butcher at the end of this episode. I want to reference 2 really excellent directing jobs in a great movie called Total Recall. And one of them is when Sharon Stone goes
Have we not done that on the show?
We have not done it. I don't think so.
We have to.
But when Sharon Stone goes to give a call to the authorities after Quaid is revealed, she's calling Michael Ironside, right? And she's looking at Schwarzenegger and with this look on her face, and he goes, hello. And she looks at him. And then she has a couple seconds where she's like resigned. That's an excellent directing job to show that response, and then they cut, right? Then the other one is when he's saying that he wants the doors open at the airport, at the spaceport, and he goes, they can't because they're all connected.
Yeah.
And they, instead of cutting right away, they stare down each other for like a good solid 2 to 3 seconds, and the director stays on that. And that is good directing.
Okay.
I'm just saying that kind of like that stuff is underrated, and what makes good entertainment
the revelation
is the fucking you're able to kind of see that he's making a decision, but you're also not sure.
I think,
and that's great acting. That's great directing.
I think we talk a lot about Anthony Starr's performance as Homelander, which again was great in this episode too. But I don't think we talk enough about how just amazing the entire cast is in this show. Like from Karen Fukuhara to Aaron Moriarty, Jack Quaid?
Yeah.
Jack Quaid. Like Jack Quaid is fucking great.
Laz
in this
Alonso.
episode. Amazing in this episode. Carl Urban is fucking. The look on his face of
yes,
and his, I was telling you like how fucking dilated his pupils were, like how black his eyes were. Where when he was moving is that like you see a sliver of white, like you see this man at the end of his fucking rope.
Oh, dude, his eyes were bloodshot the whole fucking
He's dying.
show. Yeah,
he's puking black bile.
Did you watch the Abrams Star Trek movies, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I just, all I got to say is, he doesn't necessarily look like DeForest Kelley so much. He's taller, I think. But he fucking absolutely nailed the essence of Dr. Bones McCoy, man. He fucking nailed. That was the moment that I knew. I'm like, Carl Urban is a good actor, dude.
Hey, as bad as that Doom movie is, him and The Rock are like the best thing about it. I will give him that.
He was great in.
He's good, dude. He is fucking.
Riddick, Chronicles of Riddick.
Have you seen Dredd? Have you seen Dredd?
Fuck yeah, dude. I forgot about Dredd.
Dredd is fucking amazing.
Perfect. He never takes his helmet off, and he fucking kills that role, dude.
It's a shame we never got a sequel. It's a shame.
Fuck yeah. Although, here's a great quote about that, or a great trivia about that movie. They say 8 million like murders in the city every day or whatever.
Yeah.
They talk about there's a stat that that's like lower than it is now.
Jesus.
Like if you took the entire United States and referenced that, because that's what it's supposed to reference. That's what it's supposed to reference.
So anyway, yeah, Carl Urban kills it. Everybody kills it in this episode. So what is happening that the boys are going. So Butcher's torturing Zamir with the virus stuff, and then on the main storyline, they're having like this like CPAC. Even Victoria says this CPAC style thing, which
the people who really
I want to point out.
I want to
point out. This is what's so interesting about this choice. So they gender swapped this character because in the comics this is Victor Newman. And they gender swapped, and
she fucking kills
to add this to get the payoff of that in this episode, I think is great. And to see like, oh, she like it makes sense why they made her who she is, because one, the actress that plays her is great, and but God, and her conversation with Sage when she pretty much lays out why she's doing it. Well, like she's like, you're so smart, but why are you gonna end the? She's like, because nobody wants to listen to me. I'm the smartest fucking person in the world, but nobody ever asked me anything. Homelander finally did. And I think she knows that at some point she knows he'll fucking laser her head too, and she doesn't really care.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I think she's ready to die. She's at that point because she has to do that shit every day to her brain.
Yeah.
So I think she's like, I don't really care. If this works, cool. If it doesn't, then he lasers my head off and fine. And maybe I'll fucking regenerate. Who the fuck knows? Maybe I'm immortal. You never know. But the actress who plays her, I don't know her name. We should find that out. But it's
not like we have a
she
Google
does
machine.
A great fucking job of switching between, we'll talk about the Acolyte later, and another actor who's really great at switching, roles or switching kind of, inside of a character's skin, switching from between different characters. But she does a great job of being like really, really smart and sinister, and then just being like a child, I could use some French fries and a Sibian.
Susan Hayward
Okay.
is. Who
What does
plays
she
her.
say? Something in a Sibian.
Yeah, she's fucking. That's another thing too that I think is weird.
So
is,
do
like,
we think she's like
when
totally
she-
brain
when
damaged because
she-
she didn't do he didn't do it in the right spot?
So what happens is they have Dewey.
Right, we're jumping around.
Huey undercover at this like CPAC thing as this character named Web Weaver who got an invite. And so because everybody's like, why did Web Weaver get an invite to this? It's kind of weird because it's like all these
to
higher
be
up,
the
like,
fucking
the sevens
to be the
there.
gimp for
pretty much to
basically.
be the sub for Tech Knight. So yeah, they put him undercover and they send him in, and he is taken down into the Tech Cave, which is just a sex dungeon, because Tech Knight is a masochist because he has heightened senses with like smell and sight and hearing, and so that's why they're like, it's a good thing that Web Weaver is a fucking druggy burnt out because his clothes stink so bad because he probably never washed them, you know?
Yeah.
So that'll help with your scent and all this.
Oh yeah, he's
And-
just yeah.
Yeah,
he's
and then he runs
trash.
into Victoria at one point, which is funny too, because they're on the truck like, son of a bitch. Like, of course he fucking runs into her because he constantly runs into her.
Constantly.
Well, no, in every facet of this fucking season, she's always fucking running into them. And
Yes.
all the time. And that's what's so funny about it, because they're like always butting heads because the soups want power, and the boys are like, no, this is not good. They're also not like, hey, we should do a genocide because that doesn't solve anything. What?
Discussion. If you had the ability to blow up anybody's like head, how long do you think it would be before you just?
Oh,
like,
for
just-
me?
You know what I mean?
Like how long I would last before I'd pop someone's head? Fuck, that would be pretty fast, I feel.
I'm just saying. I feel like the character has a lot of self-control because she hasn't done it in like a while. It's referenced in this episode that she blows her
because
own
of my
head off
dog-
after talking to that moron about abortion.
Because of my job, I deal with people at varying range of emotion. Rage.
Rage of emotion.
That's a fucking Freudian slip.
There's a fucking song
Range.
title.
What?
Rage of emotion.
Write that down. There's a range of emotion. So I deal with a lot of people. So, I mean, I feel like I'd pop some heads pretty quick, to be honest. I feel like
It's a good
to be honest,
be
honest, I feel like most people would at some point
good
pop
thought
someone's
problem.
head because people suck.
It's a good thought experiment. Let's try to figure out
How
what
fast
I
would
say.
you last?
Not at all.
That's a song title.
How
How fast would you last?
When you're
Speaking of lasting, so the whole Web Weaver, sub situation. So
Subplot.
Huey gets, like we said, he's in.
subplot.
There you go. He's set up to. At first, they bring down a cake
Yeah, and he's got to sit in it.
and fucking. So Tech Knight got a chain wrapped around his neck, and he is suspended while he is.
He's got help from his manservant, by the way, and he's incredibly.
by the way,
racist.
here's my
just
problem.
racist.
Yes,
as fuck.
yes. His Alfred analog is black, and yes, he treats
he
him like
does this whole thing with A-Train about how his
treated-
family made their money off of being slave catchers.
and stares at him when he says it. I was like, I bet you
My
we'd
granddad would have caught you.
and then he's like, poor A-Train's gonna be like, I guess we'll never know. And then, but well, yeah, and then he has his Alfred analog that's black, and he's like, he treated me like a son, and if he's a father's guiding hand.
We'll get to that. Don't get there yet.
Why not? I mean, I'm just saying.
Because I want to talk
I'm not
about the
getting
first
there
part.
yet.
Oh, okay.
Why don't you let me finish?
I thought you were going to reveal
Bro.
the whole
I am so man.
right
now, pop
end
right
end
now, sir.
when he kills
Your
Tech
head is
Knight.
gone.
Is that where you were referencing?
Could you imagine?
Were you referencing?
Yes, I was trying to finish my thought, but I was just trying to say that yes, I was finishing the thought of the racist thing of like, and then but he still has him call him master.
Yes.
But anyway,
Yeah, it's fucked up.
he
I love
he's
seeing the
suspended up.
revenge. Yeah.
This is what's even weirder to me. He doesn't even take his pants out. He's over the pants jerking himself off. What a weirdo. So yeah, and then he makes Huey drop trow and sit on the cake, this chocolate cake that was brought down, and fart on it. For him to jerk off to him cake farting.
I think he meant for him to fart like web or whatever
I
the
just-
fuck is that
I-
called a
I
fart
hate-
for Web Weaver?
But there's got to be, is there someone on this team? Like, is there someone on a writing staff that is required to just look up weird sex shit on the internet and just be like, hey, this would be great? Because let's watch this. Because I heard that in the second episode, that's called a goatsy or
What?
something?
What?
When they're all eating each other's ass while he's jerking off.
Oh, I don't know.
That's apparently a thing.
Okay.
And then cake farting. I'm sure that's a thing.
So here's my thing is that
It's like, what I'm saying, who is that guy or who person?
totally, but here's my thing. I think
need to be
I think it's
interviewed.
Kripke, actually. Here's my thing.
Yeah,
is
it's
that,
probably Kripke himself.
I haven't been with a woman in a while. And if you were like, hey, really pretty girl came up, she's like, hey, we can do this, but first we're gonna get into a goatee. I'm like, what is that? She's like, well, you're gonna lick my ass while another dude licks your ass, and I lick another
someone
dude's
else's
ass.
Possibly
And
someone else
way
is
up in
licking
the
their
front,
ass.
somebody's jerking off, and like, I don't want my ass licked enough to lick her ass. I just
Nope.
met her.
I'm just gonna go home and jerk it
I think so.
at that point. You know, if that's the situation.
Man, if that's the way dating is now, fuck. That's the way it is
or
on
you
Tinder.
could be strapped to,
Goatsy or not?
or you could be strapped on all fours to a straddle while someone tickles your feet and
Yeah.
proceeds to
Rub
rub their
one out.
clitoris.
I'm gonna rub my dead clit on your face. I'm like, what? Okay.
And then she wipes
Piss
the,
like a
And then
skunk.
she wipes the cum on his face. I'm like, gee.
Yeah.
And also, please don't ever listen to this shit. Why do we put this in the front? I should have rearranged all this talking.
Oh, like
and-
it matters. We say like fuck right off the bat, and we sing like idiots. This is not for the faint of heart. If you're not at least 17, you should not be listening to this show.
Yeah, that's
I'm
right.
going by the MPAA, which
Right.
is the R-rated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
MA plus or whatever. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, it says
You
explicit.
should be 18, but 17
But I'm just
is
saying it's
okay.
hard to. This is what's so crazy about this show. Even now, 4 seasons in, I still have to be like, what? I didn't think when I was like, hey, let's talk about a superhero show that'd be talking about cum this much, but here we are.
Well, I mean, yeah. Did you read the comics? Or was it just not that much in the comics?
I read the. This is very much in the same tone.
All right. Well,
on
then
par.
I don't know what you want then.
I still feel it's better than the books, but
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying.
I want to be very clear. I only read like the first 3 volumes. It wasn't hooking me,
To
and then
me,
I skipped ahead and I looked at the ending to see where it goes, and I was like, okay.
To be honest, whenever these things happen, like what was it called? The orgy, the last season, with Soldier Boy. Herogasm.
Great episode.
Great episode, right? But to me, it's mostly played for, and I receive it as comical. Like this is, if you think about it, I don't know about anybody else, but one of my postcoital, thoughts is like, wow, like, look how my face looks. You know what I mean? Like probably pretty stupid. It's just one of those thoughts. Or like maybe I have a cramp.
Going?
Just saying.
Where are we going?
We do stupid shit when we're looking for that, you know, and you think about people who have a lot of power and a lot of time on their hands and superpowers, no less. You got to understand that most of this is like really comical shit because it's shining a light into humanity, a part of humanity we don't often see for good reason because we don't need to see like everybody's fucked up like kinks and shit. We're not kink shaming here,
but I think
but
it also
that is a little fucked up to want to cut a hole in somebody like Tech Knight was about to do.
This is
to
what I
Huey.
mean. So this is what I think is interesting. I think this of people that maybe have enjoyed the comic and not like the show because the show deviates so much from the comic. But I feel like recently there are some threads that I feel like, okay, we're kind of leaning more into where the comic was going. Like, and it's what's great about it is what makes it such a good adaptation. And there's going to be people that are going to fucking torch me in the comments, like I said this about Fallout. But I think this is a great adaptation because it's taking concepts in the book that were too brash and too edgy for edgy's sake. And doing
For
it in
edgity's sake,
just because he fucking hates superheroes. Like the whole Tech Knight thing fucking holes is played for laughs in this show like it is in the comics. But it gets to a much darker and crazier level in this.
I'm sure.
And I think it's better because this is also the closest it gets to the subject material into sexual assault, because there is sexual assault in that book a lot. Or not a lot, but it happens a few times throughout
we saw
that book.
First episode, The Deep and Starlight.
Yes, and it's just like in the book. It's right in your, like, there's sexual harassment, like, in sexual assault.
Doesn't that senator repeat that stupid shit about,
They ask, if they get raped, that
whatever.
Yeah.
We won't repeat
The body
it.
could stop.
No. We don't need to. The point is that, yes, it's touched upon in this show a lot.
So that's what I mean with the Tech Knight thing, because I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, in the books, Tech Knight fucks a meteor and dies. Like, he goes out in space, finds this, he can't help himself.
A meteor?
Yeah, because in the books and in the show,
he's more super powered in the books.
No, he's in space with a fucking spacesuit. Sorry,
Don't get all pissy.
I'm trying to get my fucking point across. Damn it. So. In the books, he's in space. He's doing like a space thing, a space mission or something, and he finds a meteor, and he can't help himself, and he tries. There's holes in the craters in the meteor, and he fucks the meteor into the Earth and dies. Very funny, but it's much darker in this, where it's his comeuppance is he's trying to cut a hole into Huey and then fuck it, which is even more sinister than I thought.
I would rather have the asteroid.
And I was just like. And again, what I appreciate is how well and how close it gets up to, and you could say he was sexually assaulted because he didn't really consent to what was happening to him because he didn't know the safe word and anything,
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, whether he's undercover or not,
she pleasured
he
herself
didn't
to him without his consent.
Yeah, I mean,
so that's sexual assault or sexual. I don't know how to categorize it.
No, you're right. You're right. It's absolutely sexual assault. And I mean, when Tech Knight says that, about like the holes and stuff, like it's meant to be like, wow, oh my God, that's shocking and everything. But honestly, like there's nothing that humans can do that would surprise me anymore at this stage in my life. I've seen and heard it all. And I mean, that doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, it didn't shock me. Like, when she was like, I want to cut your dick off and cook it because I'm 100% cannibal. Well, shit, didn't we watch the fucking Army Hammer story or some shit?
But that's the thing. But that's the
rich
thing.
people are fucking bored. They want fucking humans to eat and cook and shit.
And if you think about it, if somebody who has heightened senses like that.
Why are we idolizing them?
If they have heightened senses like he does, it would make sense that he would be a masochist. And want those kind of
sure,
and associate those things of like, I want to see people squirm.
I love that he gets strangled and killed
by his butler.
Goddamn internment camps.
Yeah,
fuck you.
Because his whole plot in this is his. By the way, I love this so much. So he is a superhero because his family got rich on being slave catchers, and then they created prisons, and that. He goes, yeah, this isn't entertainment money. This is generational wealth because they did all this, created prisons, and then I became a superhero to round up these people, throw them in prisons, and then go from there.
Whether you know it or not, I mean, that is exactly what's happening in our country. It's not just one guy.
Oh, yeah.
It's a bunch of corporations.
We should not have privatized
who
prisons.
Are making money off of people being in prison, so that, the people who have money who influence voters, by doing what they do in office. Are getting money for these prisons, so of course they're gonna make laws to put more people in prisons. They hate the fucking idea of federally legalizing marijuana because that means they have like shitloads of prisoners gone, just gone, man.
Mm-hmm.
And
who's gonna make those fucking license plates?
I worked for a place that did fraud and disputes for credit cards and stuff.
Yeah,
and one of the ones that came through a lot, one of the ways that people did it a lot was through prison. Whatever's okay. If you don't know this, they don't have like glass and like you sitting in a phone anymore. It's them sitting in a room and you sitting outside that room with a video screen that you talk to on the phone too. You don't get to actually see them behind glass anymore. And it is fucking ridiculously expensive per minute. That is one thing that has changed about the prison system that you don't even know about. That is what people are having to do now. Instead of just going to see their loved ones and being able to put hand on glass for free, now they got to be charged up the ass to see a fucking video representation of this fucking schmuck who's probably in jail for having a fucking ounce of weed on him.
Yeah. So that's what's so
Congratulations,
crazy about
America.
that.
You fucked up.
So that's what's so crazy about this revelation of like, oh fuck, they're gonna put in dissidents in these internment camps.
If you don't think that's what fucking Trump wants to do with that Project 2025, you're insane.
Yeah.
Why do you think they talk about the 25th Amendment?
I know.
I stop.
I
will stop.
I stop.
I will stop.
I stop and now.
I stop and now.
We got a little Borat on me.
A little French. I stop and now.
Yeah,
No, it's
Frenchie's still in prison. He won't talk to
Jerks.
Kimiko. So that is happening. They do finally get Huey out. They bust him out by
Thank God.
Yeah. Starlight knocks out Firecracker.
He'd already picked out a couple spots.
Yeah, he had targeted out and was ready to cut it out. I'm like, oh Jesus. And then like, how can you torture a masochist? And then they get into the other. By the way, he had his sidekick chained up to the wall.
Yeah, Ladio.
And so
he
finally breaks free, gets into his bank accounts, and they send money off to Black Lives Matter and like there's all these other charities. They're just taking away all this money. So
Tech Knight is very much like a Batman, right?
Yeah,
because he's independently wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where like
his generational racist parents.
Yeah, that's what he talks about during that conversation. Yeah. He's like, "Oh, that's entertainment money. This is real money."
I think it's time for a reboot. The Tech Knight.
Yeah, it's been a year since my last movie. I think it's time for a reboot. But it was a great way to look. There's concepts introduced in real. In fake shows that are fictionalized, shows that are fanciful and out of this world, and wow, that's fantastic, but they introduce ideas that are from our world because art imitates life. And whether you know it or not in this country, go look it up, man. That is one of the big reasons why the powers that be, it's all connected with money. And right now, the powers that be are making most of their money off of prisons, off of private prisons.
We also have the Deep having a conversation with Black Noir where he's getting
that
drunk.
Was weird.
And he's like, I don't even like...
You know I can fly, right?
Sake and shit. And he's like, well... Yeah, and that the Deep essentially
Some people
says...
laugh at me.
They used to laugh at me, and then when I paralyzed them and beat the shit out of them, they weren't laughing. Violence is power. And that's why the original Black Noir was so fucking rock hard when he'd kill people.
Well, because he had a hole in his brain, too.
Yeah, well, yeah. And then, anyway, so that...
All I found was fucking 7 crates of fucking weird Buster Beaver drawings.
That was so funny. What the fuck am I supposed to do with that?
We know from...
Also, what's a black ninja? What the fuck?
Right, we know from watching previous seasons that when we finally delved into fucking Noir's whacked-out fucking brain... now, let's be... Who somebody beat the shit out of him, Soldier Boy.
Yeah.
So that's why he was, which is a tragedy in itself. And despite the fact...
his guts out.
Despite the fact that it was a... Well, then he died. Despite the fact that... Well, because this is a new guy. Despite the fact... that he was maybe not a great guy, a nice guy before that. You got to know that he was pretty
much lobotomized
by Soldier Boy to the point where he's just an automaton at that point.
Yeah. So speaking of lobotomies,
despite the fact that it was a cartoon, it was still tragic.
When Kimiko and Starlight do eventually get to the tech cave, MM protects them by shooting Sage in the head because Sage finds them, and then so she goes down
in the left temple.
He has what we think is to be a heart attack. We find out later it's just a panic attack, but he collapses. So they got to get him to the hospital. So Kimiko gets a hold of A-Train and says take him to the hospital. So A-Train grabs him and runs him back.
He has a moment where
Sage
he feels like a hero again.
Yeah, Sage is gone again. Yeah, he has a little boy that like smiles, so he has a moment of like, oh, I did something good. So yeah, Sage is gone when that all happens, and then Sage...
I thought she was dead, and then you reminded me that, her brain...
Before she starts talking, she comes to the scene, and I'm like, wait a minute. Would that mean like she's brain damaged or something? Because I thought she was going to come... First, I was like, she's not dead.
Right.
Her brain's going to regenerate.
I thought she was dead. But the first thing, like the moment leading up to that, or that scene was fantastic because in the background, Kimiko is trying to find the book that opens the thing so they can go rescue Huey.
Yeah.
And Sage is just fucking egging Mother's Milk on, right?
He's like clenching his hand.
So in the background, you keep hearing thump, thump, while she's, and he's just, and I don't know if you ever watched Punch Drunk Love.
No.
Okay. in that movie, when Adam Sandler's character starts to lose it, there's music that plays, and my girlfriend at the time and I watched it, and we had to turn it off after like the second time because the music is so rattling that it made us uneasy, right? So we would turn off the movie. That's kind of what it was. Is it was a way to get the viewer agitated. Like, I got anxious, listening to that whump, that rhythmic, whatever. Yeah. And it was a great way in the story to make it make sense for that. So are we thinking that there's only one way to do her brain or else she is fucked? Or what do you think? Is it she hasn't regenerated by the time of the party?
But then I was like, maybe it'll regenerate too. I don't know. Because I'm on the thing of like, is she brain damaged because it isn't the lobotomy?
She says that.
Yeah, she says brain damage.
Right.
Excuse me, I hit puberty.
Every show.
Every time.
Every shoe.
She says, yeah, I have brain damage.
What I need
He goes, what's wrong with you? And she's like, I need to... Because it's always funny, too, because when she's lobotomized, she wants junk food and she's horny. Yeah. Like, that's like the two things that always happen when she does
Well, to be honest, dude, when all you...
What does anybody want in life?
Reduce yourself to your most basic needs, and what do you want? Sex and food.
Well, exactly.
In that order.
It does. I mean, sometimes it depends on the night.
Ladies. Is that I also think that's our cue for just being like, never mind what we just said.
Forget it. That last 35 minutes, cut it out.
Cut it.
Episode starts now.
The episode starts now. Fuck.
That's your cold open.
That's your cold open.
35 minutes cold open.
35 minutes. You missed it.
Oh,
have you ever watched Blue Bloods?
I was going to say Blues Brothers. I'm like, motherfucker, yes.
My mom watches that, and I used to watch it.
That's Tom Selleck, right?
Right. Now,
how does that relate to the fucking boys?
It's called Off Panel Off Topic, motherfucker.
So anyway, overall, great episode. I can't wait to see where this goes. 2 episodes left.
So you're talking about a 35-minute cold open.
Yeah.
Off Panel Off Topic with Jake and Tyler.